North Korean leader Kim Jong Un has condemned military ties between the US, Japan and South Korea, calling them a threat to regional stability. He vowed countermeasures, including boosting North Korea's nuclear forces. This comes as US President Donald Trump met with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, expressing concerns over Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions. Meanwhile, Kim reaffirmed support for Russia's war in Ukraine, pledging solidarity with Moscow. South Korea suspects North Korea of sending more troops to Russia, adding to the 11,000 already deployed. Pyongyang also warned that U.S. South Korea war drills would bring serious consequences. For more discussion, we are joined by Aditya Wadwan, our correspondent. Aditya, what can you tell us about this ongoing situation?
Well, as far as the North Korea and South Korea situation is concerned, the situation is always on the boil. What has happened, the North Korea consistently continues to threaten the South Korea. There is a backing of the United States of America to South Korea, but still North Korea continues to always jetter South Korea whenever given a chance. As per some reports, there were some reports, that North Korea's the nuclear program of North Korea is clandestinely supported by Pakistan as well as China. So all these factors that need to be kept in focus, when discussing about these things. And it is a serious situation when it comes to North Korea, and the South Korea has to deal with North Korea in a very effective manner. Yes, Tom, back to you in the studio.
For more on this discussion, we are joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao, Fellow Hudson Institute, located in Tokyo, Japan. We are also joined by Himanshu Bhatt, Senior Journalist, joining us from the state of Gujarat. I want to talk to you first, Dr. Nagao. I want to ask, why is North Korea being so critical of this military cooperation with the US, Japan and South Korea?
Because North Korea is expanding influence in the world security situation. In Ukraine, North Korea supports Russia sending troops. In the Middle East, Hamas uses North Korea's weapon. And North Korea's missile capability is very high now, and they have already succeeded to minimize the size of the nuclear warhead for their missile. So this means that at least 200 or 500, such kind of number of missiles North Korea possesses can reach cities in Japan with nuclear warhead. So that's why North Korea has global influence related with Europe, Middle East. And if North Korea start to export these missiles to the other country, any places in the world will be affected by North Korea. So that's why we cannot ignore the threat level of North Korea now. That is a problem. And now people believe that North Korea is under sanction, but it is not true because both Russia and China is supporting North Korea. So North Korea is free. Thank you.
Himanshu Bhatt, I wanted to ask you what might be the international community's response to North Korea's plans to grow its nuclear program?
Well, they have been doing so, from quite some years. It's nothing new. The world knows it. And it's probably one of the biggest rogue nations. When you talk of North Korea, you got in this present context, I want everyone to understand one thing. Yes, President Donald Trump said that, well, I'll talk to North Korea. He said that. And in the changing world order, it's but natural that people, Japanese and South Koreans will be scared, and they would certainly voice that concern. There's nothing wrong in it. But at the same time, you need to understand one particular fact, and that is Donald J. Trump's administration is a negotiation administration. It's negotiator. And so I look at this first salvos being fired, first from the White House and then from the North Korean side, as the positioning platforms. Now today, when you see the North Korean, if Kim listens to anyone, then it will be Vladimir Putin. And I see US following a policy of isolating China from its original partners. And that is Russians, North Koreans. And on this side, they want to enter into Balochistan and Pakistan in the Indian neighborhood. Now, in such a situation, when such statements are passed, I would rather look at it as just statements rather than the real concerns. This is a way to come on the table and negotiate what best you can. And it's a fact of life, that North Korean soldiers are fighting in Russia against Ukraine. But then Donald Trump, when he dries up that tap for Ukraine arsenal, what's going to happen? Russia is going to occupy about 30% of Ukraine territory, and from which it is not going to go back. In such a situation, it's better to negotiate rather than, that is what the Donald Trump thinks. I look at it that way. In the changing world scenario, this military exercise by USA, South Korea and Japan is a tactical ploy rather than anything else. Back to you.
Dr. Nagao, I was wondering, how does Japan view in the increasing nuclear capabilities of North Korea? And also, can we get of what you think for the future between the relationship with Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump will be like?
Current North Korea's missile capability to deal with Japan, to deal with South Korea, they have enough number of missiles with this nuclear warhead. But currently, North Korea is developing new missiles to attack the United States. That is different level. Because if the North Korea possesses a missile capability to attack the US mainland, for example, the Los Angeles, for example, the Washington, in this case, when North Korea start a conflict with the South Korea or Japan, there is a possibility US rethink to intervene the situation because of the threat of the North Korea's nuclear arsenal. Even if the United States will not hesitate, if they promised, still North Korea can believe US intervention will be delayed. That is a concern. So that's why all of the three countries, United States, Japan, and South Korea, do not want North Korea possess a long-range strike capability against the United States. Currently, United States deploys enough number of the interceptor against North Korea's missile. These missiles are located in Alaska. So all of the missiles North Korea launches to the United States, the United States can intercept and destroy it before they reach to the United States. But if the North Korea develop new missile or increase the number of missiles, it will be the threat for the United States. Before North Korea achieves such kind of capability, US want to stop the North Korea to possess such kind of capability, and Japan and South Korea also wish to do that.
Himan Shu, we are not even a month yet into Donald Trump's presidency, and yet so much has happened. And so how can you see Donald Trump and Kim Jong Un's relationship moving forward in regards to this? I mean, last time in the first term, they had a debate over who had a bigger button than one another. What do you see coming from this relationship?
What I look at it is something, Donald Trump once said, he's my friend. I'll talk to him. That is what he said before he became a president. Now he's a president just 1 month. And I would not be surprised if he talks to him. There's likelihood to be a meeting. What's going to happen, what I feel is, it's going to be Russia first. It's going to be Vladimir Putin first. And how he goes along with Vladimir Putin will decide how he's going to move out with Kim. That's my gut feeling. And what's happening is, North Korea is more closer to Russia than China today. In today's context, whether we like it or not, we have to accept one fact, that Russian and North Korean strategic treaty is given valued by both. Both the sides value that quite a bit. And so, if Trump can deal with Putin in a good manner, if Putin gets his way as far as Ukraine is concerned, North Korea should not be a concern for anyone in the world. But don't forget that North Korea is one of the nations, one of the few nations that can create trouble in the entire world. And that Donald Trump will have to deal with it. Deal with it. That is the way I look at it. So this exercise is a show of strength and nothing else. That is the way I look at it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nagal and Himanshu Bhatt, for joining us.